Hello everyone, welcome to our class. Now before we start our lesson, just look at the pictures and tell me what these people are doing. Now picture number one, what are the three students doing? Yes, they are raising their hands. And look at the picture number two, what is the little girl doing? Yeah, she is jumping up and down. And picture number three, what is he doing? Yes, he is clapping his hands. And what about picture number four? What is he doing? Yes, he is nodding his head. And look at the picture number five. What is he doing? He is waving his hands. And the picture number six. What is the little girl doing? Yes, she is pointing at the board. And the last picture. What is he doing? Yes, he is whistling. And from these pictures, can you guess the topic of our lesson today? Yes, it is ways of socializing. Now, Unit 3, Ways of Socializing, Part A, before you read. Now look at the picture and say what the people in this picture are doing. Picture number one. What are the two men doing? Yes, they are shaking hands. And picture number two. What are the people in the picture doing? Yeah, they are waving goodbye to each other. Now question number two. What will you do if you want to get your teacher's attention in class? Yes, we raise our hands. And what will you say if you need to ask someone a question, but they are busy talking to someone else? Yeah, look at the picture and guess the answer. We say, excuse me? Now, before we move on to the reading passage, we learn some vocabulary. The first word, nonverbal. What does it mean by nonverbal? Nonverbal means not using words or not relating to the use of words. Nghĩa là không dùng lời nói hoặc là dùng cử chỉ. Ví dụ, body language is a form of nonverbal communication. Ngôn ngữ hình thể là một hình thức giao tiếp không dùng lời nói. Number two, appropriate. Appropriate. So what does it mean by appropriate? It means suitable. Suitable có nghĩa là phù hợp hoặc là thích hợp. Now look at the example. Is this film appropriate for small children? Bộ phim này có phù hợp cho trẻ nhỏ hay không? We move number three. Assistance. Assistance. What does it mean by assistance? Now look at the picture and guess the meaning. It means help, tức là giúp đỡ. Number four, informal. Informal. What does it mean by informal? It means relaxed and friendly without being restricted by rules of correct behavior. Nghĩa là thân mật hoặc là không nghi thức. Now look at the picture and look at the example. The atmosphere at work is fairly informal. Cái bầu không khí ở nơi làm việc khá là thân mật. Now we have the noun informality là sự thân mật. And the opposite of informal is formal, tức là trang trọng. And the noun formality, sự trang trọng. Now number 5, brief. Brief. It means lasting only a short time or containing few words. Nghĩa là nhanh hoặc là ngắn gọn. Now look at the example. It will only be a brief visit because we really don't have much time. Đây sẽ là một cuộc viếng thăm ngắn vì chúng tôi không thực sự có được nhiều thời gian. Number 6, instance. Instance nghĩa là trường hợp hoặc là ví dụ. Xem ví dụ. In this instance, we think or I think she was mistaken. Trong trường hợp này thì tôi nghĩ rằng cô ấy có sự nhầm lẫn nào đó. Now number 7, socialize. Socialize. Look at the picture and guess the meaning. Socialize means to spend time with other people in a friendly way. Có nghĩa là giao thiệp hoặc là giao du với người nào đó. Look at the example. They don't socialize with their neighbors as much as they used to. Họ không có giao thiệp với hàng xóm nhiều như ngày xưa nữa. Now number 8, signal. Signal. Look at the picture and guess the meaning. So signal means an action, movement, or sound that gives information, a message, a warning, or an order. The signal nghĩa là tín hiệu hoặc là dấu hiệu. Look at the example. The police officer gave us the signal to stop. Nhân viên cảnh sát đã ra hiệu cho chúng tôi phải dừng lại. Now, let's listen. Nonverbal, appropriate, inappropriate, assistance, informal, informality, formal, brief, instance, socialize, signal. Now we move on to part B, while you read. And it's time for us to read the passage together. Now listen to the text and take notice to the words underlined. It's helpful for us to understand the text easily.
To attract someone's attention so that we might speak to that person, we can use either verbal or nonverbal forms of communication. Let us look at nonverbal communication in English. Probably the most common way of attracting someone's attention is by waving. For example, if we are at a noisy party and see a friend come in the door, about 20 meters away, we might raise our hand and wave to her as a signal that we see her. But how hard can we wave in a situation like this? Suppose you are at the airport and you see your brother get off the plane and begin walking toward you. If you are excited, you might jump up and down and wave as hard as you can to attract his attention. This is the instance where big, obvious nonverbal signals are appropriate. There are, however, some social situations where smaller, nonverbal signals are more appropriate. In a restaurant, for example, if we want to attract the attention of our waiter, we have several choices. We can wait until he passes near us, catch his eye, and nod slightly to let him know we would like him to come to our table. Or we can raise our hand slightly to show that we need assistance. We do not whistle or clap our hands to get the person's attention. This is considered impolite and even rude. In most social situations where some informality is allowed, a brief raise of the hand and a small wave is fine. For instance, if you are walking across the schoolyard and see your teacher approaching you, a small friendly wave to attract his or her attention is appropriate. Once you've got your friend's attention, you shouldn't point at that person or thing you want her to look at. A slight nod will do. Pointing at someone is usually considered rude. Of course, there are times when pointing is perfectly acceptable, such as when a teacher wants to get someone's attention in class. The teacher often points to the student and says, "David, would you read the next sentence, please?" Pointing here is not impolite. It's simply a way to get someone's attention.
Now we move on task 1, matching each English word with its Vietnamese equivalent. Number 1, verbal. Verbal có nghĩa là gì ạ? Ok, verbal nghĩa là bằng lời nói hoặc là hữu ngôn. Number 2, non-verbal. Non-verbal nghĩa là không bằng lời nói hoặc là phi ngôn hoặc là bằng cử chỉ. Number 3, attract someone's attention. Attract someone's attention nghĩa là thu hút sự chú ý của người nào đó. And number 4, impolite. Impolite nghĩa là không lịch sự, thiếu lịch sự. And number 5, rude. Rude nghĩa là thô lỗ hoặc là thô bạo. Number 6, informality. Informality nghĩa là thân mật, không hình thức, không nghi thức. Number 7, approach. Approach nghĩa là lại gần hoặc là tiếp cận. And the last one, number 8, a slight nod will do. Nghĩa là một cái gật đầu nhẹ cũng sẽ là đủ rồi. Now, task 2. What's the title? Decide which of the three options below is the best title for the passage. Chúng ta quyết định xem là một trong ba cái lựa chọn sau đây, lựa chọn nào là tiêu đề tốt nhất cho cái bài đọc của mình. Thì để chọn được cái đáp án tốt nhất ở đây thì chúng ta phải quay ngược lên trên để đọc lại toàn bộ cái bài text của chúng ta. Và sau khi đọc xong thì chúng ta có đáp án là gì ạ? Ok, đó chính là A. Attracting attention, non-verbal cues. Now, task 3. Answer the following questions. Question number 1. What can we do when we want to attract someone's attention? Chúng ta có thể làm gì khi chúng ta muốn lôi cuốn sự chú ý của một người nào đó? Now look at the paragraph and focus on the underlined words. We can find the answer easily. And the answer is, when we want to attract someone's attention, we can use either verbal or non-verbal communication. Now, question number 2. What are considered to be big, obvious, non-verbal signals? Điều gì được xem là những tín hiệu về cử chỉ mạnh mẽ và rõ ràng? Now look at the paragraph and focus on the underlined word. And we have the answer. They are strong actions that can easily be seen. Question number 3. What can we do when we want to attract the waiter's attention? And now look at the paragraph. And once again, we focus on the underlined part. And now we have the answer. If we want to attract the waiter's attention, we can wait until he passes near us, catch his eye, and nod slightly to let him know we would like him to come to our table. Or we can raise our hand slightly to show that we need assistance. Now, question number 4. If you are walking across a schoolyard and you see your teacher approaching you, what can you do to attract his or her attention? Nếu bạn đang băng ngang qua sân trường và bạn thấy giáo viên của mình đang đi về phía bạn, thì bạn sẽ làm gì để lôi cuốn sự chú ý của thầy giáo hoặc là cô giáo đó? Now look at the paragraph and focus on the underlined parts. And now we have the answer. If you are walking across a schoolyard and see your teacher approaching you, you can use a small friendly wave to attract his or her attention. Now, question number 5. Why shouldn't you point at a person or thing you want your friend to look at once you got his or her attention? Tại sao bạn lại không nên chỉ tay vào người hoặc là vật mà bạn muốn người bạn của mình nhìn vào sau khi bạn đã có được sự chú ý của người đó? Now look at the paragraph and once again focus on the underlined parts. And now we have the answer. Because pointing at someone is usually considered rude. Now we have finished our lesson. Thank you for listening. Goodbye and see you again.